Greatness isn't guaranteed. Even the most promising leaders can falter, their potential squandered by hubris, poor decisions, or a failure to rise above their struggles. Throughout history, the stories of leaders who fell short resonate as powerful lessons on the fragility of ambition. Their triumphs were overshadowed by defeats, their legacies tainted by what could have been. Today we delve into the lives of 5 commanders: Xerxes I, Alcibiades, Crassus, Demetrius I, Alcibiades, and Antiochus III, whose failures eclipsed their achievements. These are not tales of unrelenting success, but of leaders who stood at the edge of greatness and fell, leaving behind lessons in humility, perseverance, and the peril of unmet potential. High on a golden throne overlooking the waters of Salamis, Xerxes I of Persia sat as the architect of one of history's most infamous defeats. It was 480 BCE, and his fleet, the mightiest the world had seen, was supposed to crush the Greek city-states and secure his legacy as the ruler who brought Europe under Persian control. But as the battle unfolded, Xerxes could do nothing but watch as the Greek navy, led by Themistocles, used clever strategy to exploit the narrow straits. The Persian ships, too large and cumbersome, became easy prey. The once mighty king, who had dared to bridge the Hellespont with his army and whip the sea into submission, now watched his dreams sink beneath the waves. This humiliating defeat marked the end of Persian expansion into Europe. Xerxes, once seen as unstoppable, became a symbol of hubris, his ambitions undone by overconfidence. His story is a stark reminder that even overwhelming resources and power cannot guarantee victory if mismanaged. For leaders today, it's a lesson in humility and the necessity of thoughtful strategy over sheer force. Imagine a man of extraordinary charm, unmatched intellect, and undeniable charisma. This was Alcibiades, the Athenian general who could have been remembered as one of history's greatest strategists. Instead, his legacy is a patchwork of brilliance and betrayal, ambition, and inconsistency. During the Peloponnesian War, Alcibiades dazzled Athens with his military genius. He conceived bold strategies, such as the ill-fated Sicilian expedition, and rallied support with his magnetic personality. But his inability to remain loyal sealed his fate. Fleeing accusations of sacrilege, he defected to Sparta, then Persia, switching allegiances as it suited his interests. Ultimately, his constant maneuvering left him isolated. Despite a brief return to Athens, his enemies caught up with him. He was assassinated in a remote village, his life ending far from the power he had once wielded. Alcibiades teaches us that brilliance alone isn't enough. Without integrity and steadfastness, even the most gifted individuals can undermine their potential. His life challenges us to reflect on the importance of consistency and loyalty in building a legacy that endures. No figure embodies the dangers of unchecked ambition like Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of the wealthiest men in Roman history. Crassus wasn't content with his fortune or his role in the first triumvirate alongside Julius Caesar and Pompey. He craved military glory to rival his peers. In 53 BCE, Crassus led a Roman army into Parthia, driven more by greed than strategy. Despite warnings from his officers, he underestimated his enemy, leading his forces deep into unfamiliar and hostile territory. At D, Cares the Parthians, skilled archers on horseback, decimated Crassus's army. Captured and executed, Crassus's death was gruesome and symbolic. Molten gold was poured down his throat, a cruel nod to his insatiable greed. His failure not only cost him his life, but also destabilized Rome's balance of power, setting the stage for the eventual fall of the Republic. Crassus reminds us that ambition without wisdom is a dangerous path. His story urges us to temper our desires with foresight and to recognize when the pursuit of more comes at too great a cost. The name, Demetrius Poliorcetes, means the besieger, a title earned through his mastery of siege warfare. Early in his career, he seemed destined for greatness, winning battles and seizing cities with unparalleled skill. But his ambition to reunite Alexander the Great's fractured empire proved his undoing. Demetrius's fortunes began to wane as he overreached. Defeats piled up, and his once loyal allies turned against him. Captured by Seleucus, the first Nicator, Demetrius spent his final years as a prisoner, indulging in excess and drinking himself into an early grave. The man who had once embodied the relentless energy of conquest died a shadow of his former self. Demetrius's story warns us against the perils of overambition and the importance of knowing when to consolidate gains rather than overextend. It's a lesson in humility and the necessity of balancing vision with practicality. The epithet, the Great, suggests a legacy of triumph, but for Antiochus III, ruler of the Seleucid Empire, his ambition led to catastrophic failure. Early in his reign, Antiochus achieved remarkable successes, restoring much of his empire and earning widespread admiration, but his decision to challenge Rome proved disastrous. At the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BCE, Antiochus's forces were decisively defeated. The subsequent peace terms imposed by Rome stripped him of his territories and marked the beginning of the Seleucid Empire's decline. Antiochus's downfall illustrates the risks of overestimating one's capabilities. His failure to recognize the rising power of Rome and adapt to changing circumstances serves as a cautionary tale for leaders who let ambition cloud their judgment. These five commanders, Xerxes, Alcibiades, Crassus, Demetrius, and Antiochus, share a common thread: immense potential undone by their own flaws. Their stories aren't just historical footnotes. They're mirrors, reflecting the dangers of hubris, inconsistency, greed, overambition, and poor judgment. 1. Humility over hubris. Xerxes' defeat at Salamis teaches us that even overwhelming power must be wielded wisely. 2. Consistency builds legacy. Alcibiades reminds us that brilliance must be matched by integrity and loyalty. Greed's heavy cost. Crassus's demise shows the dangers of allowing ambition to overshadow prudence. The danger of overreach. Demetrius's fall underscores the importance of knowing when to consolidate rather than expand. Adapt or perish. Antiochus's failure to recognize Rome's dominance is a stark reminder of the necessity of adaptation in leadership. History is filled with stories of leaders who rose to greatness, but it's the tales of unfulfilled potential that resonate most deeply. They remind us of the fragility of ambition and the importance of self-awareness, resilience, and wise decision-making. These commanders stood on the brink of extraordinary achievements, only to falter. Their failures weren't just personal. They shaped the course of empires and left legacies defined more by what could have been than by their triumphs. Their stories challenge us to reflect on our own lives. Are we allowing hubris inconsistency, or overambition to cloud our judgment? Are we squandering our potential through avoidable missteps? The lessons of Xerxes, Alcibiades, Crassus, Demetrius, and Antiochus urge us to rise above our struggles, to temper ambition with wisdom, and to ensure that our legacies are built not on what might have been, but on what was achieved. In the end, the question isn't whether we'll face challenges, it's how we'll respond when we do. Will we rise, or will we let our potential slip away?